All right, welcome into the Daily Fix every day, 12 Central Standard Time, right here on Foolish Club Media. I am your host, Ron Hughley. As I said, you can hang with us. If you I know we got loyals out here who are with us every day. We appreciate you however you take us in. Share, let other people know, man. Let about 5, 6 other people know as we continue to grow this thing. Right there in that little box right there. You see him right there. Steve Serta. What's good, baby?
Hi.
Hi, man. They live for it. They live for it. I like that hat. I feel like it. The only thing I'm disappointed in is that you don't slide it back a little bit so you have a little bit of the hair showing. That's there it is. There it is. You got good hair. That's the look. That's the I'm selling bikes. That's the I've got a guitar underneath my desk look that we're looking for. Like right there, you look like a guy right now that can play Your Body is a Wonderland. Right now. Like you look like you could whip that out and play that right now. That's the look. It's a
Thank
beautiful
you. I
it's a
guess.
beautiful it's a beautiful look. Don't say I guess. John Mayer's an angel. All right. Whew. As I said, man, please head to if you have not done so already, please head to our YouTube channel, Foolish Club Media, and like and subscribe. And you can easily get all the content that we get. And if you're a listener, might as well go there, head to it. If you haven't done so, Ryan's World drops today. Beach season drops every week. Show and BK on Fridays. The post game show will have a lot as we lead into this playoff season for the Chiefs and the NFL. So hang with us. Hang with us right here on Foolish Club Media. I'm not going to hold you long. Also, remember, almost made me forget. If you do not like and subscribe, we're just coming out of the holidays. I got some birthdays coming up. You'll be preventing my 3 children from eating. So make sure you like and subscribe. All right, not going to hold you too long. Is there a new NFL trend that is developing? Kind of new, but they're not. And then, Indy's got a decision. Can you quit that narcotic? We'll discuss what that means in a bit. But let's start here. Give me my 2 minutes, Steve. I'm serious, Steve. I'm pointing this to you. Usually I ramble for a bit. But I'm throwing this to you right now, Steve. Is there a Harrison Butker problem? Do you have concerns about Butker? Because it has just not felt. And I look at his numbers, and I guess it's not as bad as it's been in my head. Because I think he just missed the extra point against the Steelers, and he missed this 51-yarder that was not close. Didn't have a chance. In Denver, first time he's ever missed a kick in that stadium. Is there a Harrison Butker issue?
Since the Chiefs already locked up the bye, I feel like it's been overlooked. But it might be a problem heading into the playoffs. Like he's obviously not healthy right now.
You don't think he's healthy? He is still finishing the way that he was, where he like grabs a knee and it does look like puts his knee on the ground where it looks like he's compensating for something. It does look like that a little bit.
He did that last year too, I guess.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's overcompensating because maybe that leg just doesn't feel totally healthy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've got to be honest. Like, no one is really kind of said it here of late, or not here of late, but not really thought of it this way. I mean, I think there's a real argument that he's the best big game kicker in the history of the sport. Right. I mean, he's been on the tail end of winning. He's won a Super Bowl. He like everybody thinks about the 13-second, but that fool had to make that field goal in the freezing cold that was 50+ yards, and he drilled it. He beat and made a 50-yard field goal, whatever that was, to get the Bengals. And especially how sort of dependent the Chiefs have been on him kicking field goals to give them points. I mean, if you think about the postseason run last year, Harrison Butker kicked a lot of field goals. I think he made 4 or 5 against the Dolphins, He made a good 3 or 4 against the Niners in the Super Bowl, including the one to get to the to overtime. I look at that. He's been so dependable and such a you feel good about that. I know it's not been as bad as it feels, but I don't know, Steve. I just don't feel like I have the same confidence when he goes up there. Like I used to go to the bathroom on Harrison Butker, and I mean from any distance. That's the one thing. Hopefully he gets healed if there's something that ain't right there. But that is quiet as kept. Like that field goal wasn't close. I mean,
a couple of seasons ago, he had some struggles, but it was because he got hurt early in the season and then felt like he was trying to come back from that the rest of the way until he got to the playoffs, and then he was just lights out in the playoffs. So
hopefully that's it.
Yeah, like hopefully this extra rest time is good for him too, because I feel like it has gone under the radar a bit outside of the Broncos game where they rest all the starters, but everything's been so locked up already and the Chiefs have been winning. It has really just not been talked about a ton that since him coming back from injury, he hasn't looked like himself.
No. And again, he's only missed that 51-yarder and an extra point, but still it's I don't know, it just the feel is different. All right. Indianapolis, it looks like they're running it back. They kept former Chiefs front office member Ballard in at GM. They're keeping Shane Steichen, which I don't have an issue with those moves. But it looks like they're also going to roll with Anthony Richardson. And then, man, again, sort of like he's just one, Steve. You have to ask yourself, are you able to quit that? You're able to quit that narcotic. Can you quit Anthony Richardson? And I'm telling you, sort of, I would get fired. I would get fired because I wouldn't be able to quit that kid's talent. Like if I were Ballard or Shane Steichen, I may lose my job over this because every time I see him, Steve, I just see the black Josh Allen. And I know that Josh, it feels like Josh pulled it together a little bit quicker than this as they were in the playoffs in year 2. But this is year 3, and the dude just has so much talent. If you remember, Josh was so inaccurate, even when he started to put together. Like it was hell. There's an argument sort of that hell this year is really the first time where you felt like, all right, man, he doesn't really just struggle with just misses that are horrible the way he does. Now, and Anthony's bad. Like I've watched sort of he'll miss 10 straight throws, just 10 straight. But then he just has such amazing talent that I could not quit that narcotic. I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. There is no, all right, another option. Nope. Either he's going to work or I'm getting fired over this thing. And so I agree with this situation, but he's either going to make somebody look real good or he's going to get somebody fired, sort of. Because I'm not moving on.
His accuracy is a real problem, like even more so than Josh Allen early in his career. Like you're right. Like you see the ball just flip out of his hand where he can just launch it 60 yards down the field, but then he can't hit a 7-yard pass, like, and it won't even be close. Like, it's a legitimate problem, but I do think that Shane Steichen is a good play caller. I think that the Colts have some talent. They just have to keep trying to build around this, and they have to build the offense in a way that it can function with what he is capable of doing right now. I think the other problem with him is that he gets banged up. Like he's had problems staying healthy and staying available, and then the Colts didn't do him any favors by benching him and going to Joe Flacco and then coming back to him this season. But the talent is certainly there. I don't know if he can take a Josh Allen jump where all of a sudden he becomes a much more accurate passer, because it's the biggest thing holding him back. Like if he can just find a way to get that any kind of consistent, just on the short intermediate stuff, then he could totally that will elevate the entire team because his talent is so high.
Well, he's gonna have to take a jump in accuracy, or he's just not gonna be a quarterback in the league. Like he'll miss when I say 10 straight throws, like it'll be like 10 open receivers that NFL quarterbacks are expected to hit. He'll 10 in a row and then throw a dime 70 yards to Pierce. Right? Like, and I think something you said is I think he clearly has to get better, but I think if you're going to deal with him, and I understand the injury fear, and there's some of the coaching of, hey man, don't take hits that you don't have to take, but you got to be all in on the type of player he is. And I think Shane Steichen and them have tried to neuter or save his legs' fear of injury and not run him as much. And I just don't think you could do that. I think you have to be all in on the type of player he is. And then what you said, you got to be all in. You can't yo-yo him in or out of the lineup. And I think they have done that so much. So I wouldn't quit it. I certainly would. I'd certainly not the black Josh Allen. I couldn't do it. All right. Finally, is this a NFL trend? Antonio Pierce, who was the interim coach last year and then got the job, I think a lot off of that Christmas Day fiasco against the Chiefs, and how he finished the year well, and it seemed like the team responded to him. And again, they bring him in and hire him, and he was not someone that felt like was going to be some sort of David Culley stopgap situation. Felt like, all right, they like what he did, and they want to bring him in. And nope, he gets one and done, just like Gerard Mayo. And we're starting to see it, right? Gerard Mayo, Antonio Pierce. This happened with Lovie Smith, David Culley. Yes, they're all black. Urban Meyer got the axe in 1 year, but we cannot understand what happened there. Like this seems to be a trend that is wild to me. So it seems like the deal of, hey, if you don't start producing almost immediately, like you could be in the crosshairs of getting fired. Like it could be 1 year. It's not a, hey, you get a chance to build or whatever. Your culture better take immediately. And it seems like it feels like teams look at it and say, I see what DeMeco Ryans did. I see what Dan, what's my man in Washington, backwards hat. I see what he did immediately. Dan Quinn. I see what he did immediately. But, man, like, this is wild, man. Hey, man, I'm going to give you Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, man, and if you don't get this thing together, your ass is toast. Like, wow. Hey, man, I'm going to let you hold it down with a rookie quarterback in Drake May and nobody around him. And if you don't get it together, your ass is gone. Like, this is an interesting trend where, hey, if you're a coach, you better be real selective and you better have a real understanding of the owner, because you may not get 2-3 years. Like, I think it's crazy to hire somebody with the thought of, I think this guy can be a long-term option for us, and I believe in this guy, and him not get at least 3 years to implement it. So that is wild to me. So this trend, and by the way, I guess it's coincidence, it seems to be these black guys that's happening to a lot here lately. But these trends, this is an interesting trend that your ass better get it done or you could be out in 1 year.
Yeah, and I think part of this is just, this is how bad organizations continue to be bad organizations, but also, like, we've seen these young quarterbacks have much shorter leashes than they've had in the past. It doesn't really matter where they get drafted at. It's like, if you don't look the part right away, if you don't show promise right away, despite the circumstances that you were just thrown into, then we're going to go look for somebody else, and we're going to try to make a decision on this. And it's starting to happen with coaches now too, where it's just unbelievable how impatient these owners are with the decisions that they've made. Like, if you thought this was going to be the case with Antonio Pierce or Gerard Mayo, like, why even give them the jobs in the first place if all it was going to take was one bad year in year number one for them to lose their jobs, when we know that, generally speaking, you don't turn things around in a single season. Like what the Chargers did with Harbaugh, is different because they already had Herbert, and we know Harbaugh is a Hall of Fame caliber coach.
Well, not just Herbert, they had Herbert and Mack and Slater, and they had a high draft pick where they drafted another tackle because they didn't have to draft a quarterback. And they had Derwin James. They had guys over there. Those weren't dumpster fires, right? That's my part is you have them take over really bad situations and then fire them when they did it the equal. And that's the other thing. It's like the Lovie Smith and David Culley, those are a little bit different. My whole thing is with Nick Caserio and those guys, like you didn't even try to look for a long-term option. You just said, here, man, I'm just gonna go year to year until I whatever. That part I didn't like. These two guys sort of felt like they were the long-term options. And you get 12 months to implement what you want to implement. That's wild to me. Wild to me. Interesting trend, but all you guys, Ben Johnson, hey man, you might want to chill. Now you do have an advantage over maybe the last two guys that were one and done, but you might want to chill in Detroit a little bit. Good for Dan Campbell. See, that's the other thing. Good for Dan Campbell. He started out 0-10-1, but they allowed him to run his process. And now look at where the Lions are. Your ass better be Kevin O'Connell right off the gates, or your ass is gone. Hi, Mom and Courtney.